the situation you have in your head, there's not a psychiatrist on earth that would understand it. But there is a way out. And the way out is, of myself, I can do nothing. I just will watch. Even Jesus Christ himself said, of myself, I can do nothing. The Father within me, he does it. The Father within me is speaking to thee. And you still don't get it. That is the most dangerous. If I am Jesus-like, which means we all should be, so that what I say to you, and when I try to help you, or helping to you, I didn't say that well, but if I were to do the good thing to you, the right thing in the right way, something happens if you don't grasp it, you die. Because you should be able to recognize the Jesus factor. The tone of my voice, as old as I am, tone of my voice has no emotion. If I want to use a strong voice, but there's no emotion in it. There's a loud, bad thing and a good, loud thing. They have different effects. When you say to your child, go to bed. Oh, Dad, can I stay up another 5 minutes? I want to do this. All right. 5 minutes passed. It's time to go to bed. Oh, just that. Go to bed. Oh, okay. That's what a child respects. You're a child to me. Why can't you respect me and come to life? You are dead from the neck up. And it's about time you stop coming or listen and not try to fix yourself. You are trying to fix yourself. Because the fact that you like what I'm saying, it represents a decentness in you. I hire that decentness, but I have a decentness. More than that, I love you, or God loves you through me, because I can't love at all. I can't save myself. But I can help save you by telling you not to try to save yourself. Just let it all go. You either drop dead or you get better. You're better off. So if you drop dead, I don't think it will, because you're a decent person. But you've got to hear what I'm saying and take it to heart. If Jesus Christ would come and look at you, I say to you, it would be the same. It will take you 30 years, like 30 years between us. He wouldn't bother with you. He wouldn't. He can't stay with you every week. He goes around fixing everybody and they all get better. You either get better or you don't. Where am I coming from? You know I have no emotion. So I could suffer anything and not hate the hurter. What did he cry out? When in his time of horror, just before he died, he says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." What would you do if they did the same thing to you? Squeal, hate, cry? He didn't do any of that, did he? He just felt the pain, felt the suffering, and didn't hate the hurter. And that's the magic. That's what made him different to all of us. Am I making sense?
Yes. Yes.
Any discussions?
Yeah. This week I had I spilled a bunch of weed killer on my grass, and I was really angry. I started cussing and everything, and I normally don't.
Can you speak more clear?
Well, I made a mistake, and I started to fall back into the old things I was doing, swearing and being angry at myself, and
now, can you tell me what good that is? I mean, as a logical person, it's logical. But what kind of logic is this?
well, that's what I began. Well,
I'm going to come over there, hit you all the time, and say, "No, take it easy and don't get upset." I'm coming.
Well, I saw that, we kind of think in a linear way. We think we're moving this way and we're better than
Your
we were
thinking
before.
lies to you. You don't want thinking. You don't want to think. That's having delusions. That is not real. You're thinking, figuring, thinking. That won't get you to paradise lost. Just having language in your head, trying to figure things out with language. I think we'll do this, I think I will do that. No. You study it. You hit your fingers with a hammer. That stupid hammer. That's how you are inside your head. Where are you going to go with that? If you hit your finger with a hammer, because you got the wrong nail, all it is pain. And you don't swear, starting with an S, right? You don't. It just hurts. And before you know it, the pain is gone. But if you curse it and blame the hammer, which is ridiculous, you would judge the hammer. I mean, look at it logically. It's judgment. Blame is mine, saith the Lord. I pay back. You've got to get rid of your reaction to feeling. And the only way that is to stand back with a 7-minute meditation. That's all you do. The fact that you even tingle with your fingers, that is valuable. But when you close your eyes and you can stand back and look at the little pixels moving across the screen of the mind, instead of going to sleep, if you just watched it, and the little thoughts will try to jump in, and you see the thought. And if you see the thought, it goes away. It doesn't like to be watched. But what is watching? You've absolutely, the minute you close your eyes, the minute you do that, and you do it successfully, and you can watch the little pixels. Look, when you close your eyes, you can see all the little pixels. And then you go to sleep, okay? But if you put your attention to your right hand, the first finger, the second finger, it shifts the spiritual aspect to the right, where to the left, if you had a left hand, you would fall asleep. One wakes you up, and one takes you down to sleep, and he's sleeping and sleeping forever and ever, never ever seeing anything like I'm saying. You close your eyes and you can see that little flick. Can you see the little flickers? Yeah, if you watch it in the evening, someplace, do that for 10 minutes, and then you open your eyes, everything seems brighter. That's because the inner self is light shining through you. And like electricity, like my iPhone. It's able to project from the inside, thinking, what to see, which is equivalent to having thought of it and then see it. But you don't having to thought of it, you see it. There's no thought, there's a seeing only. I picked on her because that's it. And I can look at a person and pick them out to see, just a look on their faces. Knock it off. You want to get better? Understand you're still an egotistic, foolish person. Go and get a hammer and hit it and just have a little practice. Anyway, excuse me. That's not very good for a preacher to do. What else I got? I got a big long nose.
Well, we're not audio. I mean, we're not video, we're audio, so.
All right. What say both of you? Who wants to say it first?
Thank you. I lost some ground when a couple of weeks ago when I went to visit my sisters back east. At one point, I did get emotional, and I know
can hear it there.
Yeah.
I can hear it in your voice now.
Yeah.
Weasel. You're just a weasel. I don't mean to be rude, but it's a kind thing to tell you. No one ever tells you that you're cowardly. You can't have a life as a coward and expect to go to heaven, correct?
I know.
It's the suffering.
Yeah.
How can you suffer properly? By standing up for yourself. Like that. Or, excuse me, could you remove that cigarette from your, and puff it somewhere else? And they look at you, but you're not upset. You have power over that person. If you're upset, he'll smoke it in your face or put it out and hate you. And you've made somebody worse, and yourself. See how simple it is. There's nothing to it. You have nothing to do except have a purpose. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to follow him from now. In other words, he can start now, and the 95-year-old person can start now, and he can be also the thief on the cross. That was a good thief, and be in paradise when you die. That's how gracious God is. You have an ego. You have a will. And this will has made you weak and made you an appeaser. And appeasers emboldens bullies. You will look at me as a bully because you don't understand. I'm not a bully. I'm just straightforward for your sake. I'm not afraid to speak to you. If you want to go and not go work somewhere else, is fine. But I don't want you to stay there burning, resenting me, because I know you do.
I'm not saying.
You do it. You do it. You don't see you doing it. There's a little irritation. There's a little irritation there.
I need to speak right now.
Yeah.
Because I am seeing.
Can you speak louder?
I am seeing my mother in Joanna.
Yeah. But you're very outspoken.
Well, but what I want to say is, You're describing the relationship that my mother has had with me and my husband. And right now,
Your mother had her, or you're saying something?
I'm saying she reminds me, just being here and you talking to her, of what my mother has, what
we are going
through
through
with
her
my
mother.
mother. 100%.
But
And
who is going through it, you or your mother?
We are. She's doing her thing. We are being pulled in to her crazy world.
That's
my,
not
my
good.
mother.
Her mother.
Yeah, that's not good. If it's,
And here's the funny thing.
what you need to do is let her die.
Yeah.
Well, she's sick and she
Let her
is
die.
going to
yeah,
die.
yeah.
To hell with her.
Well, I knew that. I mean, I could see.
And what has to happen, what I realized, because this last day there was something going on in me and I sensed it. And all of a sudden I felt my body going through the symptoms of what her
My
her
mom.
mother has. And I said, well, this
Oh,
is
that's
strange.
not good. You're still
Yeah.
suggestible.
This
It's
is
still
strange.
suggestible.
But it's funny because it happened after I had a real strange experience with my sister, because she was saying something to me we were talking about my mother-in-law and the relationship, she knows her, and she was saying something to me, and all of a sudden out of me, with an energy that was not mine, came a voice that was so strong and so piercing that shut her up. And
She
it
was on
wasn't
the phone.
It was on the phone, and it wasn't coming from me.
That's what she needs.
And I
Yeah.
realized
That's what you
I wanna
need.
be.
Shut up, woman.
But here's the funny thing. After that happened, which was a good thing for me and a good thing
What?
for her, I realized that this other symptom was going on with the mother-in-law. And I saw last night in a dream, and I'm afraid to say it, you were in it, and there was this dream, and the dream was saying, well, this is what you do next, and this is what you do, because she's about to get the bad news that she's dying.
Yeah.
Hasn't quite gotten it yet from the doctor, but it's very clear.
Close.
And
She's
it's
dying?
coming. She will be. I mean, if all the tests prove what I suspect,
Which we
this will be it. But what's here, I'm always trying to not be sucked into her crazy world, just like you suck people into your crazy world.
I do?
Yes,
Yes.
you
How
do.
do I do that?
You stand there meek and helpless. And someone says, oh, I'll help you. And they help the craziness in you.
That's
And
what
we
it
help
is.
the crazy. But here's the funny thing. Somehow, in all that I know about it, because I'm taking her to the doctor. My wife isn't even dealing with her mom now. She says, forget it. And so I'm taking her to the tests and all this. And I realize somehow in this process, even though she's playing her little tricks and all this stuff, something in me got me to believe that you need to just humor her for a little bit. And I realized that's a mistake. I have to be willing to say no at any moment, but not for me.
You actually don't have to say no. You say no without emotion.
Yes.
Emotion, and when emotion is gone, and sympathy, a feeling,
Yeah.
when emotion is gone and God has taken it, you can do what
What has to be done.
has to be done.
And all I have to be willing is to be that.
Jesus didn't care about people.
Let the dead
He
bury
only
the
cared
dead.
about the person who recognizes and values that presence. It doesn't have to have words. It can just be presence.
I see that.
It's just the presence of coming into the room.
Yeah. I'm in the room in the hospital, and she's there. The mother-in-law's there in all her craziness.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to the mother-in-law, and the nurses are listening.
Yeah.
The mother-in-law isn't. She pretends to listen.
She always pretends to have your
Yeah.
affection.
Oh, she
Always.
loves me like you can't believe.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's
so.
real
wickedness.
subtle.
She needs to die.
Yes.
I could see that.
I mean that.
Yeah. And what has to happen is I need to stop helping.
You got to stop. See, because you are playing God
Yeah.
by deciding to help her.
Yeah.
And I know that
It's very
at
subtle.
this moment, you know that's a mistake.
Yes. It's
You
and
do.
it's so
If she
subtle. it
wants to be
creeps
what
in.
she wants to be,
Yeah.
screw her.
Screw her.
Excuse the expression.
Yeah. I just sitting here, I just realized she has a doctor's appointment on Tuesday that's not necessary, and I realized I don't have to offer to take her. I'll just tell her, look, if you can't take the bus, don't go. It's
Well,
up to you. No, but this is not
But
important.
the example, I'm not sure
She's-
is good.
But here's what's happening. She's pretending she's not sick.
Yes.
And by going to this other doctor's appointment that's not important, she's pretending that it's not really happening. What is
She's very good at it.
Yes, very subtle. It's what I realized. I'm dealing with the evil of the
You're the evil
ages
with-
coming
yeah,
through
that's
her,
right.
and it's a quintessential evil, and that's great because now I have to
I
see
love
it.
the
It
word
will
ki-
find
I love the word ki-
all the little chinks that I haven't seen. It will find them for me.
What's interesting about
Yes.
is I want to add something. About a week ago, because this is my mom who, over the years, I have not dealt with right, but lately I have been. And I had a dream, and in the dream, I knew exactly how to deal with her. Just to stand still and do nothing. And after I had that dream, something changed in me.
Good dreams, bad dreams.
I know about your mother because I have wanted to comfort her when she's been here. You know, I have felt the pull. I didn't do it, but I felt the pull. You know, it's just you can feel that.
If you feel a pull, you better stop and look. And the looking at it just takes it away. If you are affected like that, even without words, you'll feel sorry for someone. Never feel sorry for anybody. If you're going to do it, just help them and walk away.
That's all. It's very subtle. It's simple.
And the other thing I want to say is when my husband was on the phone.
If you have to have a feeling to do it, it isn't God. It's the animal. The animal motivations called emotion.
When my husband was on the phone talking to his sister, and that voice came out of him, I was so happy to hear that in him. It's like I aligned.
She wrote on a pad in front of me while I'm talking to my sister. She wrote, "That's the dad I never had." Because my sister was saying, you've got to be careful with the mother-in-law. You have to help her out. And at some point in what my sister was saying, I didn't see anything. I was just listening to her words, but it was coming from a wrong place. And this force came out of me with an energy that was not my energy, and it just had a power. And I think it affected my sister, but it certainly affected
You
my
didn't
wife.
feel power.
I didn't feel anything.
No.
I don't even
But
remember
other
what I
people
said.
Other people feel it, but you
They
don't.
feel it. I don't
And
feel
if you don't feel it, and the other people feel it, you're on the right road.
Yeah.
But because I was a vehicle of that power, it also defined something else in my life I didn't see, this subtle little thing going on between my mother-in-law and me. And that's the beauty of it. If you let him go through you, he will define any imperfections in you so you can see them. All you have to do is see them. You don't have to fix them. You see them? Oh, okay.
If you
And it's
see-
life or death. Not seeing was me my death.
That's right.
And seeing is life.
You've gone through a little bit of that for misunderstanding that.
It's all big stuff. But I'm just on a course. I don't pick it. It picks me. So I'm kind of loving the
I
adventure.
know.
I'm riding the waves as they come.
Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. But you see, those little pieces become big pieces if you're not careful.
Yes.
You need to be very watchful. And all the problems you've had having to go to hospital is connected to perhaps mother, mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law.
Yeah.
We're going back to the same places, you see, because it's the same hospitals and the same. I've been to the hospital so many times for other people as well as myself,
Yeah.
but it's all good. I was standing in the hospital corridor 2 days ago because I took her in, and all of a sudden I had a flashback when I was a little kid, 5 years old, of getting my tonsils out in a hospital, the first time I ever went to a hospital that I could remember. And it was like I could feel the atmosphere in a hospital as if I was a little boy. And I just went through it, and that was that.
I don't remember anything affecting me.
Things
Not
affected
from the
me.
very beginning I came into the world. I don't know. I didn't know I was different. I had a good father and a nice mother, but she was codependent.
You are a blessing to us. And very few people recognize what that is. And it's not you. It's the fact that he sent you, and you are a vehicle of, you are a conduit of his energy and wisdom, and people don't let it in. They even come, my mother-in-law came religiously every weekend. She would not let it in. And that is odd to me, but that's life.
I could see she was like glue, you know, living glue. Right? You're sucking it in and looking like something. It takes a shape. You wake up or die. The purpose of life is to live forever. Now, I can't explain what that is. It could be one day, if I live long enough, I could do the same thing as Jesus, raise the dead. Now, I have not been given that. But it's possible to live forever. But I'm not sure yet. I'm coming to it. But I know that if a person throws himself on a grenade, I mean, just suddenly like that, I mean, it's a war, and there's a grenade on the ground about to go, and he throws himself on that and blows himself up. No greater love hath any man that he gives his life for his friends. Now, he's a dead man, but is he dead? Isn't there a spirit? Because the flesh is the evidence of a spirit. But you can kill the flesh, but not the spirit. The spirit is somewhere, and I can't tell you that. But why did Jesus say that? And the thief on the cross, this day you'll be with me in paradise. He's still there. They buried him. Do you understand what the flesh is? Is the covering of it. So you can have, everybody comes into this world with a cover on a spirit. And the cover on the spirit is intuitive. Are you intuitive? Are you intuitive? Don't you see things that other people don't see? Can you see the stupid teachers? Do you get irritable? Do they push you to do this and push you to do that? My daughter, I said to my kids, when you go to school, I took them out of school, but while they were in school, I said, if you see that the teacher is not telling the truth and it doesn't sit well with you, you need to stand up and say, teacher, see? I forget what I was going to say, but what was that story I gave about that? But Diane doing it.
About patience.
Oh yes, I'm losing my patience with you. He's remembering it. I'm losing my patience with you. See? And she says, if you had any patience, you wouldn't be talking to me this way. And sat down. That is brilliance. That is intuitiveness. In other words, you beat the person and it comes to you naturally. It's not something you've learned. It comes out of your mouth. And you can say, what? I can have a fight. I've had lots of fights. Lots of them. I enjoyed every one of them, basically speaking, because it was nothing. All I had to do is, whoop, he's on the ground. How did it happen? I didn't do it. It's like I didn't do it, but it was done through me. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing when you do kindness for people. You don't feel like you've done anything good. Who else would do it? This is how you'd see it. Who else would do it? How else would you do it? But they look at you and wonder, How did you do that? What do you mean, how did I do it? I didn't do anything. Yes, you did. This guy's on the ground. You see? You stood up when we wouldn't. Well, I don't know you don't know what you mean. You kind of do know what you mean. In the early days, you might say that. You might wonder yourself. If I saw a piano coming down, somebody says, "Is a piano coming down?" Oh, before I know it, I'm over there at the speed of light. And I don't want to boast, but I called up the head of a gang. You know that story. I didn't know why I'm standing in the middle of the street while they're running down the street with their cars and making all kinds of noises, and the police couldn't do anything. I just stand there, glued to the street, and the car had to stop or kill me. I didn't care. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it. I'm not saying these words. It's feet on the ground, doesn't want to move. And they get upset. They can't do it. And they all gather around, and I see the big cheese bottle washer. I said, who's the big guy? Come on. Big guy comes up. But see, no fear. And I said to him, I can make you do anything I want. You are going to stop this. He says, who the hell you think you are? I said, you are an angry so-and-so, and I'm going to use that anger to get into your head. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the truth, roughly. These are roughly things. There was other things said. And he got so angry. So angry. I said, get more angry, because I will control you. And he turned I can make you do anything I want. And he lifted his hands to hit me, but I see it happening ahead of time. I see it in a quicker state than anybody else. I said, that's what I want you to do. His hand stood up there, and he couldn't move. And he ran away back to his friends, got on his motorcycle, and off he went, and everybody else disappeared, and we never had any bad guys in that street anymore. But why did I do that? My wife is saying, Roy, don't do this. Roy. All right? We had the kids there. I say, courage is not yours. It's a gift. It's a gift of love. And you cannot overcome such a person. And everything bad, so now you talk about everything bad. Everything bad happens for good for those that love the Lord. In other words, bad things are good for you. Bad things are good for you. How can you say that? Because it makes you stronger or weaker. But you have lost the way to be stronger because you have emotion. And so therefore a big person could push you and hurt you and upset you or intimidate you to do something, and he whacks you one at the end.
And it lets you see your weakness.
That's right. They need to see your weakness, and they want to see if you're fearful or angry. If you're fearful and angry, he controls you through the emotions that you're feeling. He enters into that. It gives him, he says, this person is mine. He responds to me, he's mine, and he's going to do what he wants with you. But to do it with me, they run like hell. They try to upset, and they don't understand. I can tell you one story you may never heard. I practice handgun shooting with my sons up in the mountains, and there's a special place for it. And we were shooting at the target, but those guys walked across and wouldn't let us shoot. And it's all snow. And so he comes up, the three of them, and immediately I see that I step back so they stand on ice. It didn't happen. But the three of them would have got down. Bang, 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 bang. That's how quick it would have been. All my fights, I've been in the world. I've been in the world with people who are training for athletics. What is it every year? Olympics. 26, 260 pounds wrestling and lifting weights. And I'm 150 pounds. He doesn't like Jews. That's me. I said, well, let's go upstairs and just have a fight up there. You know, do it right. I was all over. I beat him. It's so easy. I don't remember what I was doing, but he got irritated. He couldn't touch me. So next day, putting our white clothes on for diamond cutting. It's a diamond cutting place. And he turned to me, took my head and smashed it into his, and to break my nose, and blood came out. But in a fraction of a second, he was right down on that floor, and me bashing his face until it wasn't there, so to speak. Now, I don't remember how it happened. How did I get a big, strong person down on the ground? I know a little judo, and upstairs, let's just get play. But this wasn't play. This was real. He got angry at me because I showed something that made him hate me. Now that's what it does. It can make people hate you. But they cannot do anything about it. But because I'm a light 150 pounds, he took advantage of that. All I got was a little broken nose. But he never recovered from that. I say I have all the sicknesses you ever had. Sickness, 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 sickness. I was born. I had a parasite swimming in the water, and that lasted 4 years and led to all the other things I've been going through ever since. But what I've discovered is it was necessary for me to go through all of that to understand that all the illnesses on earth based on emotion. And if you don't have emotion, if you can find God, He takes away the emotion, He gives you life. He gives you a light. And the light sees you makes you see things ahead of time. It makes you see through people. There are people like me, to some degree, that saw Obama for what he was. But there's another group, but there's more of them than there is of us. They couldn't see. They thought he was a wonderful person that loved the worst in them. And therefore we tend to see that we lose our lives, we lose our country because we are perverts and degenerate people. And when you have that many, that's why you're getting the media. By the way, we just bring this in for what it's worth department. The media is the enemy. It's surfaced for the enemy. It's served by the enemy, money, everything, to cause people to free them from freedom or give them a sense of freedom, which is perversions and perversions and perversions. And I said in my Twitter the other day, I said, if I can remember the exact words, not so, I said, if you give me a microphone, if the government can give me a microphone, because they want to start doing something with the opioids, and you're not going to do it. It's going to last, it's going to go on and on forever. And then you're going to lose your country. There's already more than them than there is of us. And when there's more than them there is of us, then they elect a person that loves their worstness, and we are finished. So I tweeted that. I said, give me 6 months and an opportunity to have a microphone. Just give me 6 months. All by myself, I could bring this country back. Because if I can do it to audience, I can do it to the whole bloody lot. Excuse the expression. Jesus could do it. But you have to have a Jesus in you. You have to know that. Now that sounds braggadocious, doesn't it? It wouldn't be me doing it, don't you see? I'm just a body. Jesus says again, of myself, I can do nothing. The Father in heaven, He does it through me. So He doesn't do it. And when the person gets cured, he gets cured because of the presence of light and the love of it, of the person, appreciation. That person resolves the motion of that person. The light in Jesus is not the same emotions we have. When Adam and Eve fell from paradise, lost from God, he took on himself. It fitted a skin around the spirit. I wish I could complete that thought. But we are born not like Adam was in the Garden of Eden. Something changed in him. And a lot of change, we won't go into detail, especially sexuality. They were in the garden and they weren't ashamed, they were naked. And so after the experience, he saw, if you know what I mean. And it went from there. And so this paradise lost situation is the fact that we became animals, part animal and part spirit. And so rather than make a new Adam and Eve that would make the same mistake over and over and over and over and over and over again, because you got the evil there. You got good in the universe. There's no good. The only place you find good or love is you can sense it within you, but you cannot see it in the whole universe. You can't see this. I'm a little bit with words. You forgive me, but the realm of darkness beyond this world, but you can't see beyond of the world. It's too big. You can't see it, but it's beyond somewhere, metaphysically. And so you have a darkness realm, and you have a realm of brightness. It's two opposites. That's what got to Eve when Adam hesitated. Now, every woman sitting in here doesn't born evil, but she's born connected. In other words, what is in her, what she is with her flesh, around her spirit, needs a man to love her. to love the hell out of her, because a woman has something. If men look to the women for a sense of worth, they will be drawing into Eve to give it to him, drawing the darkness. She has a natural nature of sexuality and reproduction, yeah, absolutely, and so does the man. But the man doesn't love, he lusts. Every man lusts, and women can sense it, and they give in. But when they give in, up comes the devil. Not that she has a devil, but it sucks. He sucks her for the pleasure. Do you understand? He gets a feeling, and she has to give the feeling, give it to her. In the beginning, it's normal, but all of a sudden it becomes abnormal because he becomes addicted to it, addicted to her giving more and more and more until she can't, and she hates him. See, she brings up hate. See, because she can sense it. The system is poison. She's poisoning him, and he's poisoning her to bring it up to him, which he thinks is love. All it does is turn to hatred, both of them. See that? Now, you inherit this. You come into the world, there's no father. If he's a father, he's no damn good. How many good fathers have you have? The good fathers are the soldiers that would die on a grenade. That kind of virtue in this country. Now, you go to Hitler, Germany, you don't have the same kind of soldiers. They're murderers. We kill murderers. That's the difference between us and them. And you have evil in everybody. Everybody has it. I didn't. I was born in a good place. Like Moses, he was put in a basket and thrown down a river, and a princess got him. He had a good environment. He had some special thing about him. He gave up being the next person in Egypt. What's what they call him? Pharaoh, yeah. Because when he saw the person being beaten by a taskmaster, he killed him. He could have just as easily put him in jail and have him executed. But he had to do it himself. And therefore, he lost everything. But you see, everything happens, every bad thing happens for good for those that love the Lord. And who was the youngest of the 12?
Joseph?
Joseph. Who was the youngest?
The guy that was...
Benjamin.
Benjamin?
Yeah, I think it was Benjamin. Yeah. Anyway, the 11 of them was jealous of him, the father's love. And so they sold him to a camel people, and he ended up in Egypt. And then a woman, he worked for a famous person, and the woman wanted to have sex with him, and he says no. And she got so disgusted and angry, and so she told her husband that he wanted to do that. And he goes to prison for 7 years. And in that prison, he was able to explain dreams, and they all came true. Pharaoh heard of it, and he was able to tell him what was happening, what was wrong, and to store the wheat and all the rest of it. And he became second in the highest place in Egypt, next to Pharaoh. Everything bad happens for good. If you learn to deal with the bad for every moment, not react. Because when you react, you give your life to the person that caused it. And the system of that person It goes all the way back to darkness of Paradise Lost.
Roy?
Yeah.
When I was a little child, I, you know, as we are naturally, I was rambunctious and I was honest. And I remember also I would lay on my bed and I would naturally meditate. I would see the sparkles in my mind's eye. It was a natural thing to do. But I wasn't raised with a father. I was raised with a very emotional mother. So that, you know, that brightness was smashed down. So it just, I'm bringing this up because that emotion that you're talking about, that was the key. That little judgment, that little resentment, irritation is what made me Mr. Nice Guy and made me cowardly. And the cowardly, that Mr. Nice Guy was a substitute for being a real person.
But you look nice at it. You look nice with it. You have an appearance of niceness and sweetness.
Yeah, it was a fake substitute.
It's always fake.
Yeah, but
And fake good. Fake
so
good.
the process of becoming a man has been to let that irritation go and speak up. And a lot of times it has been with little things that I've listened to, excuses not to say anything. No, now I say my piece, but
You don't always have to say
no,
it.
not always.
It's just, you don't decide it.
That's right.
You're not the decider.
No.
But when you see somebody doing something wrong to somebody else or you can stand there and look at them and not say anything. Nothing comes, and you see the person walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's there. Something is in there. You don't see it, they do.
Right.
If they try to upset you, you don't get upset, nothing. But he gets upset because the only way he can get you is to upset you. And you don't get upset, so he gets upset because he can't upset you, and you got him. You put the goodness in him, and it drives him sane or drives him mad. Then he can have a choice.
That's right. And
I made my choice.
It was that little twist of judgment that created the guilt in me that shut me down. And I remember when we were little too, we saw movies like Billy Jack. You know, he had that calm.
I liked him.
And when we were little, we intuitively loved that movie. I mean, we saw it like 9 times. We just kept on, because as little we didn't have...
That represents exactly a man should be.
Yeah, and we didn't have that in our lives.
And you don't need to be an expert in karate or whatever.
No.
You don't need to. The magic is there. A woman can have it and drive that man away, and she's standing there. Well, where's he running away from? Because she may not know she has it yet. As long as she's not angry, as long as the anger is taken away, the only way that can take away the anger is God himself.
Yeah.
And so then, when you don't have the anger, you can't be penetrated. But it gets better than that, or worse, towards the person who's attacking you. He senses that light. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to say anything. He'll somehow turn away and leave you alone. Or try to intimidate you. And you're not intimidated. It's scary. It's scary to him. It's painful. He has to get away. That's why I say, give me a microphone. I can take the whole bloody country. Excuse the expression. All bloody. Anyway.
Maybe it would help. I saw your tweet yesterday, and I sent it to Donald Trump's Twitter. I don't know how much Twitter would affect that to happen, but maybe we all can do that.
That's I think another subject. But I'm only speaking to you. And so I can be very plain. But President Trump, he's a very fine person. He has a lot.
He's like
of, if I may say, me in him.
Yes, he's not intimidated.
His wife used to listen to me.
He's not intimidated like you, like a Billy Jack. He stands up and he calls it what it is. The media are traitors. They've got this enemy in the camp, and he calls it out, and he's not...
That's the reason why, if I could get a microphone in 6 months with the help of the government, And so that everybody can't help but hear me
Yeah.
and be fascinated to see if he could overcome it. They can't. And that is what I've tweeted.
Yeah.
Call the government. Roy knows you can't overcome opioids and drugs. It will take you years and years while it's getting worse and worse. You can't stop it. The only way you can stop it is me, but not me. The me, not me.
Right.
It's him and me. And they feel that. It's a shock. Do you ever see anybody call me on the radio? Anybody from the left? I haven't seen it for a long, long time. I even ask you, if you don't like what I'm saying, you skinhead, whatever, I'll call him a name. You idiot. You're listening to my program? You think freedom is opioids and drinks and drugs and women? That's not freedom. It's a sick freedom. Anyways, after I say that, but any one of you want to talk to me about this? No, nothing. Not for 55 years, maybe one or two, and they just run like hell.
I heard you once on I think it was Tom Likas, and you were on with I think it was a lesbian activist or something, and you really went after her, and it was it was nice to hear because you didn't hold back. And it's kind of like Trump, you call it out. You're not mad, but it almost sounds like you're mad. But no, you're not mad, but you're calling out that darkness.
I had one call. It's rare to trick me, and it was the other night. I can't explain it. You have to hear it. I haven't been doing shows the last couple of weeks. I just need to get healthier. Anyway, any other questions?
Thank you, I do. This is my grandson, Josh. He's attended you some years ago, and at that time, you made a very good impression on him. I asked him if I could speak candidly about his problem.
He while I'm talking, he's twitching and you're not wanting to hear it. It seems that way because the person who listens like this.
Right. He has a lot of problems dealing with pressure as he's growing into his teenage years.
He needs to meditate.
I agree.
You need to sit quietly, and there's no religious, spiritual. It is in a manner of speaking, but it's not like the preachers that teach you words, and so you can stand on a stage and read and speak the whole Bible without having a Bible, and everybody would applause. But the devil knows the Bible too. See.
Well, Josh is facing temptations in his age group.
How old?
You're 16 now? He's 16. And he's tempted to making wrong choices at times for the approval of others. And this is very
What have you
common.
been hearing from me? Would you like to say anything?
He suppresses it. He's very, very angry on the inside, so he has a very timid exposure.
May I suggestion?
Yes.
You leave him alone and let him drop dead. I'm sorry.
I understand
Leave him
that.
alone. Let him suffer. Be patient. Watch him. You can give him a little clue once in a while to see where he's coming from.
And I do.
And so you have a good life. You've come from a bad life to a good life, correct?
Correct.
And it was wonderful. I've watched you since many, 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 many years. Now, he may have the same problem. Don't push it on him.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
You know, God is different than man. And when we have, God only gives you enough pain to wake you up. Once you wake up, you don't need that pain any longer. But with man,
No,
once
you'll
you
feel
do
the pain, but not hate it. You may feel pain. You may feel degraded, or let's say, take the concept of everything that could go wrong and every kind of cruelty, put it all in a big basket, and that's it. There's nothing that should be able to upset you. Nothing. And you will be tested as I have been tested. And I did not know I was being tested with the stories I gave you. I didn't understand how people went flat on the floor and run like he's seen a ghost, and he did a Holy Ghost.
Well,
even now, if a 250-pound person comes in and wants to hurt me, I'm ready. I'm ready. You will see something really strange. You would.
True love is correction, and so if you're not corrected when you're young, you're going to be corrected someplace later on in life, and it's just going to hurt you more, I think, or cost you more. So
well, she comes often. She works for me, and she does her work good. That's not the issue. The issue is I care. I care because as long as she comes, she opens her heart to me, hopefully. But I don't want her to listen to me and learn it by heart. Learn it. You must, what I'm saying to you, you have to see a flash of awareness. So when I'm saying something to you, if you were a bad guy and you could read the Bible, and I gave you a Bible verse, just a little bit, everything bad happens for good. Well, they know that, but they don't know what I'm talking. They don't know what the Scripture is saying. They just go walk past it. I know. I have to feel suffering. I have to suffer and feel the pain. Sense it, the pain is the pain. Or be screwed from all my money and still not hate the hurter. Somebody tried to murder me in the business of
The hospital?
yes. I'm just losing a word every now and then. It was a nurse. She did something, and I nearly died. But I came back stronger. 80% of the people had that what I went through would have died. 80% is how bad it was. I'm still doing business with that person. I won't tell you what it is. That person. And she's becoming nicer and nicer and nicer. And I'm not taking revenge. I need the help from the doctor. There's a continuum of something that I won't go into right now. But the thing is, she's softening. Softening. In other words, judgment is mine, saith the Lord. I can actually suffer terribly and not hate the hurter. That is important. Suffer no matter what it is. Don't hate the hurter. Unless you have to kill him. Because there is a time when you have to do that. Because you need to understand one thing, that if I was in Hitler Germany, that wouldn't work. So the minute I would be like a Jesus, they kill you right away. Well, we're not in a world like that. It was ISIS. They would see me first and hate me and kill me. They love to kill little children because the little children are bright and they have what they've lost. See that? So a person that has light is killable. They will kill you for it. Now, this is a country that's different. I have protection from that. And even Jesus Christ. I mean, he had people that was friendly. It wasn't so bad as Hitler Germany. There was a certain kind of freedom to speak, although they didn't like it. And they picked on that one. Because everybody believed what he said, they would lose. Everybody. And so out of fear, they had to kill him. Because he would have been able to spread it all over, everywhere. That's what I can do now. As long as we don't become a Hitler type of America, I know how it's done. I have that nature, a given gift. And so that where they all couldn't do anything about it, all the diseases and sickness, mental, emotional, physical, all emotion. And I will overcome those emotions. Because when they hear me, they have to get upset. And if they get upset, they start to break down themselves. Or they say, yeah, that's it. They woke up 2 or 3 days later. Why am I hating Roy Masters? He's only telling the truth. Bingo. I've given them a choice without saying this is a choice. Because what comes through me gets inside them and they're disturbed. They're disturbed because they can't get at me. And they get upset. But the goodness is upsetting them. And the goodness is inside them. A piece of that. And so now they have a choice. Do they want to kill me? Or when they love me? But it wouldn't be me that were loving. They'd be loving God. Because I didn't do it. I'm just the mouth. That's all. You're just the mouth. So what comes through you is love. And so who did I speak to somebody just maybe half an hour ago, that you have to speak in a special way to your children. And if you speak in a special way to them, they will recognize you and you will not have children broken. You will not have one single... No, I got kids that are broken. That's it right there. My wife, she's still broken. You can't make a person better unless they want to be better. So you could be married to one and you're stuck with it. Simple. And but I learn from it. I learn every day. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I just wanted to share something. As you speak about Jesus saying, of myself I can do nothing, that also holds true to the evil side. So you don't have to identify
That's
of
very well
myself
said.
I can do nothing.
That's right.
And it's taken, 30-something years of knowing you for that to finally be shown to me. And you said it so incredibly beautiful about the Spirit, and we just have flesh on top of that. And
That's right.
that's so freeing, because I can see in my life, a few days ago I saw that my fat is just a product of every resentment, of every hate, of every non-smile.
An emptiness filled. with
And
pleasure.
I can't stop myself yet. I can still, at night, anyways, that's not beside
You're
the
on the
point.
way.
That's right.
You're on the way.
And another point that I wanted to say, maybe to pat myself on the back, I'm not sure, was that I could see something trying to tell me to get away from my husband. Oh, he's such a jerk, I just need to get away. And then I realized it didn't want me to have to stand and face what I don't want to deal with, because there's some things in him that aren't right, and I don't like it. I don't like that I have to. So now I just see that rod, that spirit, like you said today, can deal with anything. And it's when you see the flesh on the outside, it's so silly now. It's just going to be easy. I just
Well,
see
you
that it
can
will be-
either let it go, which is okay. You can let it go, but not out of here. None of your business. Or you can just be yourself and see what happens so that he sees the strange in you. And you can leave it that way.
But it was just a nice thing, Roy, to see that I don't need to get away from that man. He's not a horrible man. I just have to stand.
Is he a
in
good
faith.
man?
He really is a decent person. He's
All
had a
right.
hard life.
Has
so
he said, what's happened to you now? You seem much better. Has he said that to you?
no, but I can see him. Two things are happening. He's a little bit nicer to me, and then a little bit. He's picking on me a little bit more, because what I'm seeing happening with my husband and my children is they're still judging me from everything that I've been up until this moment.
Say it again.
My family are still judging me for all of the things that I've been up until this moment.
I see, yeah.
So now I have to be able to stand back and know
What
where I'm at
what
now.
you need to say to the kids, get the kids around dinner, and in the middle of dinner say, I got something to say. Yeah. Have you seen a change in me? And then you go from there. I have to apologize to all of you. I've been resentful, angry, and it's been, and you can explain just a little bit how your parents, what they did to you, and it affected me, so I began to become like them, and you saw it, and I didn't. I see it now. Let's have a nice dinner. See? There's a way. I'm not going to give you the words, because it's not right for me to give you words.
I couldn't repeat them anyways.
That's right, but
Yeah.
it will come.
Right.
There will be a time when it may not be around the table. I can't tell you when, or it may not even, you may not have to say anything, because slowly but surely they will begin to see that a light is in you and that you're more gentle and firm. See that?
I do see. Because they're already coming more towards me than away. I don't know who wants this.
Good.
I'm feeling a lot less timid. I want you to know it.
Okay, so
I
now
got a
give it-
chance
now
to
give it
see
to
it.
me.
I got it, and I saw it shaking in me. And I appreciate your bringing that to my
Good.
attention. Thank you.
Is that all? That's good.
Yeah,
That's
that's
enough.
okay.
You know, just don't be afraid to say, whatever you need to say.
Okay.
What time is it?
15 after 10. 10:15.
Just take, I think, how are you doing? You're not shaking so much. Oh, you're not shaking at all.
Yes, it comes and goes.
Well, it's going to go. If it's coming and going,
It's going
gonna
to go.
Because otherwise it's going to be going and going and going and you're gone.
Thank you.
Listen, that time that you were in the military
Yes,
was a turning point negative.
yes, it was.
And so I say to you, your upbringing made you a coward.
Yes, I
And-
was beaten down like
But that
I
wasn't
had no
you.
right to live.
But you see, but you now need to see that what was put in you when you were born, it made you a coward and an appeaser. So when you were on guard and you heard sounds that was dangerous and you were afraid to speak about it, you know that had something happened, a lot of people would have died because you were a sentry on guard.
Yeah.
That was roughly correct?
Yes, that's the gist of it.
But you see, everything goes on from bad to worse. And that is what was a problem for you. It was a big shock and a big shame and a great fear. Let it go. You've owed up to it. Nothing happened. But it was a shock that led you to this state.
Yes, it did.
God forgives.
Yes.
I understand. You're a little boy, and you grew up to be what they made you. And you know what they made you in a way, a very feeble person. And the situation came up, and you weren't up to it.
No, I wasn't.
Let it go.
Yes.
Can you let it go?
Yes.
I know that you have been forgiven. I know every person in this room is pre-forgiven when you come into the world. You only have to accept it. Because it's not the same as Adam and Eve, is it? Because Adam and Eve made the mistake and now everything's upside down. And you're born into an upside-down world from an upside-down person. So you are the extension of that. You can't help it. But that's the beauty of the suffering. The beauty of suffering, why am I this way? Why am I that way? Why do I drink? Why do I smoke? But if you are calm and don't struggle, and remember you have intuition when you came in the world, but when you came into the world came into you, and I always keep saying that. And it imprinted in you, so that what was in your parents was in you. Either for bad, yes, always for bad, and for worse. There's hardly a family that has a real. I don't have a family that's completely wholesome. I've got some bad ones. But that's all part of me learning things. Difficult wife. Doesn't bother me. She gets sick, I get better. I can help her make her get better if she understood me, really understood me. But there's a dark side there. And one of my children is brilliant, brilliant. You can't find a more brilliant one, but brilliantly willful. He wants to overcome me. He's learned all the things I know, but turns it around the other way.
That's a familiar story.
Is it familiar?
It is familiar, because that's what happened up in heaven when Lucifer was trying to overpower God. He wanted to become God himself.
There you go.
He was jealous.
What an interesting thought. What an interesting thought. I like that. You just taught me something.
That's just the dynamics of that.
It's an example.
Well, my family has ended up to be quite a mixed bag. You know, I've had to let go of my son, and because he can't accept the change in me as I become more mature. And thank you very much.
But you know what? Jesus had something to say about that.
Yes, he did.
I think it was this. think not that I have come to bring peace, but the sword. Why is that? The father against the daughter against brother. It does not flow in the blood. So you can have the best family and not good offspring.
I let my son go with his family. He's doing relatively okay. I wish them well. My daughter, his mother, I leave her to her life. I don't interfere. You know, I just check in with her every 2 or 3 months on the phone.
But how can you help him if that's the same mother of this boy?
It is. He lives with his father.
And his father's a good man?
He has goodness in him. He does. He's been weak.
But remember this. If you react to him, understand of himself he could do nothing. In other words, he's been programmed since he was a little boy.
The strongest spirit in his home is the other grandmother, his dad's mother that lives there as well. She is, I'll kindly say it like she's a liberal. She loves Clinton, she loves Obama, she loves that world. So she's the the opposite of me.
Is she influencing?
He's very conservative. He's waned a little bit to the liberal, and then he came back to the conservative, because in Josh's heart, he loves the Lord. He does. I've seen it since he was a very small child. What kind of work is it? Pardon?
What kind of work you say? Work?
No, he loves the Lord.
He loves the Lord.
I thought you said work.
When he was like 6 or 7, he wanted to be baptized because that was growing in him. He was being drawn to...
Did he get it?
Yes, he did. He did get baptized.
It didn't cure him?
No, because...
No, because it's only a ritual. We don't get rid of rituals. Rituals can't do it. God does it.
True. But it was him...
I understand.
Desiring.
But it also can, if it doesn't work, it makes him more bitter.
He needs to know how to battle the world in a more calm way rather than the rebellious.
He needs to see that he's vulnerable, and if he has intuition, he can hear me and realize he's got to sacrifice something. He has to sacrifice the animal that's in conflict with the human. Adam became flesh, and in the flesh it was like an animal. So he had flesh and intuition, so that there's a spirit in the body. But the animals don't have. A monkey doesn't have a spirit within a body. And it doesn't have anything else to do but eat grapes and reproduce and die and eat each other. But we are exactly like, we have fallen into the animal state, and we are emotionally driven. But we have conflict where the monkey doesn't. Correct. We're not supposed to be in that state.
Right.
And when we come into the world, we didn't have that state, except our parents put it in us, bang. And pretty soon, you are speaking and thinking like them, or feeling the pain of injustice and hating it. And I say, he needs to sit quietly, and the light within him will dissolve the emotion, slowly but surely, dissolve it, dissolve it, dissolve it, until there's nothing left. And when there's nothing left, he's pure. Nothing can stop him. He can have joy, happiness. He can enjoy the trees, the flowers, and the bees, and decide how to make bees better, and trees better, and fruit better, or you want to be a scientist, but you would be loving it, and you may take a course in it and see the mistakes, but you're not a machine. The secret of everything you accept has to be clear. I see that. I see that. In my world, I saw that I had a purpose. And that purpose was very young. Because during the Second World War, I wondered, why do people want to kill other people? Jewish people, 6 million people. I mean, it goes out like that. What is this? How could one man turn Germany around where it was a normal place? And it's happening here. It's happening here. And so I was walking down the street, and it's a hippodrome. There was a hypnotist making people do stupid things. And everybody says, yeah, it's just a joke. I saw it was something. I looked for books. There's no books any good. There's no books on any day except mine. And nobody wants to read them. But the point is, they're listening. They'll have to read it. The reading is not the cure. It's the explaining. It's interesting. It brings you to some understanding. Anyway, I got to learn to teach myself what it was. And I was very good at it. My mother had a friend from the First World War, and she was very feeble. But she was so sweet and nice. They were good friends. And she had a headache. And she says, you're doing hypnotism now, are you? I said, I'm practicing it. And she said, I have a headache. Can you take it away? I put my hand on the head. And she fell into a trance. And she woke up and she said, my headache's gone. That was the beginning. I had to work. I didn't. That was it. She trusted me. She put a trust in me. You got to be careful you put trust in a bad person. It's okay with a good, but it still wasn't good. It's still, I got so good at it. I could do it in a dance hall with all the people dancing, and I can go right in the middle of the ring and do my show. After when the orchestra stops and everybody's drinking, and I could give shows. All the noise didn't stop me.
I was about 22. I was in a lounge type atmosphere in Stockton, California. And at that particular night, there was a hypnotist that came in, and he was entertaining the crowd. And volunteers come up, and he had them act like wash machines, changing their shoes around and that sort of thing. I was totally fascinated, but it made me wonder, in my life,
something's wrong.
Something's wrong, but I also took check inside on to what degree am I one of them without him in front of me.
Good.
In my lifetime.
That's good. But I validated it when you came to see me for the first time.
Yeah.
So you know you're fine. But the whole world is hypnotized. He is.
Granted.
Emotions.
Yes.
He is no longer himself.
That's.
And he cannot change himself. If he tries, he gets worse.
He has his...
Of myself, I can do nothing. The Father within me. The secret of this is to see that he cannot do anything about it, but not be angry, not be upset. Because you could be upset if you can't do anything about it. But you have to forget, if you know there's a God, and you get that, not just a mechanical thing of myself, I could do nothing, that will make you sick and worse. That will make you sick and worse. There's got to be something within you that is intuitive, that there is a God, and you didn't make yourself. You have to go to the factory to get better, so to speak. You have to sit quietly, be still, and know, and you will know God. That's all. And I've shown you how to do that. It's so simple. Being still is is what is still? Is it just a car that's still? A person that's still? What is still? It's the Spirit that is still and looking. This, in other words, you find the stillness, and the stillness is close your eyes and look at yourself. Look at the thoughts, and the thoughts will run away and get dissolved.
I have a new Roku. My new Roku has a YouTube. And I went to Biblical Stories thinking, well, that'll be nice to listen to is somebody reading biblical stories. And then they started doing these theatrical voices and such, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was just like, it was horrible. I turned on to YouTube on yours, and it was like this brook of fresh water coming down the hill. Trinkle, trinkle, trinkle. And your words were in contrast right away from where I came from John, listening to yours. And it was absolutely amazing because this seminar I was listening to in 1991, I missed that because that's when I started to truck driving. And I was
what riding?
Truck driving. I went over the road. And I missed those times, the seminars and such. But I saw it on YouTube this last week. And it's not that I'm hung up on you or anything like this, but your seminars and these speeches are just so teachable.
Or you go to the big seminars. You can get the seminars on Facebook. I keep them in low numbers because people can't. You can't do all that. You have to do the little things, but that you can go and watch it completely. It's all. I've taken lots of them are not very well photographed, but I've taken the good ones and put them up there, and just by watching a week's worth or a day's worth, you're going to have some very good results.
Well, you're on YouTube as well, not just Facebook, but YouTube.
They steal them all.
But they're wonderful.
I can't get them. I can't get them to put on my Facebook. I don't know how to do that yet.
Well, I've been appreciating them. That's what I see.
That's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our crowd grew bigger, and I do hope you understand it. Did you understand me at the back? Good. And you are not going to be afraid? Excuse me, excuse me. There's something I could have made a joke over, but I forgot the joke.
Is my eye hurting your elbow? I think it's.
Say again?
Is my eye hurting your elbow?
Oh, yeah. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, a gentleman right at the back.
What's that?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
When I was 17 years old, I was at a party and they put me on 3 chairs and put my body across the 3 chairs.
You were hypnotized?
I must have been, and then they took the chairs out.
And you were stiff as a board?
I guess. So was that just, I was hypnotized?
Who did it?
Use the mic, please.
I can't remember.
Was it a person that put you through something?
He put his hands under my legs, and rubbed them a little bit and told me to relax. And he was my baseball coach from years ago. But how could that possibly be that my body stayed in the midair?
Oh, yeah. You need to go to my Facebook and Sirhan, and you need to read about that. He killed Kennedy, right? Bobby Kennedy, yeah. And But the point is, he was completely mesmerized. I tried to get through to those who were working.
Authorities?
Yeah.
Secret authorities? FBI?
Yeah, I try to get to, but he's still in jail. I think he's still alive. But he's completely, he was, in other words, a foreign entity. A foreign entity understood his weakness and programmed him to kill.
He's Manchurian Candidate is what he was.
And they made a movie about similar to it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that.
Yeah.
And you can hypnotize 70%. And that's why I'm so anxious to get that microphone. No, I can hypnotize them, then unhypnotize them. If you hypnotize them, they become, but I have to be bad enough to accept that. That's another factor.
Yeah.
If a noble person can do this, and he can, if the bad guys can do it to him, good guys can do it, then I get a hold and I get inside and get to the root and speak of him, speak to the root. So whatever it is collapses around it. Because all the diseases on earth have one origin. Drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, murder, anything. All of them have for instance, if you eat too much, you're addicted to food. If you sex too much, you're addicted to sex. If you're addicted to pleasure, if you like lots of fun, you become addicted to it. The more you get, the more you want. And the worse, the more you get, the worse you become, the hungrier you become. You see? And so, but the diseases you get are related to what you take to take away the pain of anxiety. They will all take take away the anxiety, but it's taking you away from God. See? And it stretches. The anxiety gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more you take it, the bigger the anxiety is because you're fighting your conscience.
You self-medicate.
And then you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
It's so painful. Oh, well. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
God bless you. Glad you came.